Welcome to the Million Vegan Grandmothers podcast. And today I meet with Soya the cow, the first vegan drag cow in the world. Thank you so much for being here today, Soya.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. You are an amazing drag cow and performance artist that does fabulous activism all around the world. And I know you have been to TED Talks and many other platforms and speaking up for animals in an amazing way. And I'm so happy to meet you today. And please, would you like to start to just tell me a little bit about your background and how you came into this and became this voice for the cows mainly, I think.
Yeah, so I'm from Switzerland. I grew up here and have been making art and theater and music all my life, also professionally. And I made a theater project in 2017 about meat. And it was in this research and like learning more about the animal industries that I myself became a vegan. And after that, I experienced a lot of actually difficulties in the art world. I felt it was a context where people are agreeing on positions of nonviolence. They are inclusive when it comes to anti-racism, to queer people, feminist values. But when it came to animal bodies, I experienced something like a wall where all these discourses of justice didn't go through. And this show about meat, it was censored in two theaters. They didn't want to show it because there was a scene where we reenacted the insemination of a cow with two human adult performers who could give their consent to the scene. And I was extremely frustrated in that moment. I felt a bit betrayed by this art milieu, which was my community. And in that exact situation, I had the chance to go to an art residency in San Francisco, 6 months. And I experienced the local drag community, drag kings, drag queens, but also drag monsters. They were very creative. They were also like it was the first Trump administration. So there was a lot of anger in these performers. And when I saw them on stage, uh, going there without fears, without like trying to be super smart, but just like being direct and with the whole body kind of as a tool, I thought like, I wish I could be that fierce, that um, bold actually to speak about animal rights and the end of the animal industries. And that's when this idea popped up in my mind. First, almost like a joke, I can be a drag cow. And now it's 8 years later. This cow, Soya the cow, who is my alter ego, she has been kind of the center of all my art and of my activism as well. And I feel incredibly grateful to have found a tool to use my skills, my creativity, my social networks, my everything I have kind of to speak up for other animals.
Mm. Exactly. And like you say, everything you have, because that's the feeling when I look at you when you perform, like either you sing or you're at TED Talks or something else, you just go all in. And it was like, just so amazing to see you. And I wanted to ask also why you choose the cow, the mother cow. I mean, I myself, I'm very into the dairy industry myself, but it's interesting to hear your story.
For me, it comes really from this kind of big cultural lie that I have been also in a way a victim of. I grew up in Switzerland eating really every single day. I would eat cheese, drink milk. It's so central to Swiss identity. I know in many other countries it's the same. Um, and I was 30 years old when I found out that cows actually need to be mothers to produce milk, like all other mammals. And when I realized that, I felt so betrayed by my parents, my teachers, and the entire society, from publicities to school days and these horrendous kind of days of dairy and days of milk. They really all just lying to us. It's not just omitting stuff; it's really lying. And
Mm.
I really felt the need to speak of that. Also, in this time, my sister actually had her first baby. So my sister was learning to deal with breastfeeding, with motherhood, and it was not that easy. It was like physically and emotionally and also just mechanically not that easy to make it work.
Mm.
And hearing her speak about that, I mean, it made it even more clear. Like this is such a feminist issue. It's an issue of queer rights, of like who can control whose bodies, whose sexualities, and separating like dairy from all these discourses that I have really been a part of for a long time. I've been in these queer feminist communities. It made me angry and like, okay, I'm gonna be a cow and I'm gonna be a mirror and holding up that mirror to you. So you have to face the truth. And if you still want to eat cheese later, well, then at least you know the truth and you have to face your own hypocrisy.
Yeah. And like you say, it's a very much a feminist issue, and it's also an issue for actually every mother. I mean, every or a father, or actually, I mean, when you look at it, it's just so insane what we are doing to these animals. I mean, this normalized violence is just beyond imagination, and still it's so normalized.
And also, especially when we look at like mammals in general, in like documentaries, the way
Mm,
we narrate these stories of like, I don't know, the bear family and Mama Bear is doing everything she can for her babies. And that's the cultural narratives we have with wild animals.
mm,
But when it comes to so-called farm animals, especially cows, but also the same with chickens or pigs, we completely deny this from them. And like you say, it's violence on so many levels. It's physical violence, it's sexual violence, it's violence on the soul of these
mm.
animals.
Yeah.
And in a way, I think it's also like there's a spiritual violence in it as well, because there's something sacred about like being a parent, and we
Mm,
completely rip that apart. And we also rip apart the ties that one generation can transmit to the next generation. That's something for me is really painful to see, especially with cows. When we think how intelligent they are, how sensitive they are, what beautiful relationships they build that are lifelong. But if we have been cutting the generational transmission for thousands of years, so
mm.
like the loss of culture, of cow culture, it's terrible.
Thank you so much for bringing that up, because I so much agree with you. And I also feel that, exactly like you say, it's such a sacred bond. And everyone who really watch a cow with its calf, the few ones who can be, they are so wonderful mothers. They are so loving and kind. And still, the narrative by the industry is like cows are bad mothers. They just have this kind of, so it's that is a betrayal as well, on top of everything, to have that narrative, that story, teaching children and everything. I mean, I just feel it's just horrific beyond everything else, to have that lie being told to people. Mm. When I watched your TED talk, you were very brave. I feel you were very bold, and you really told from your heart what you felt, and really it was so inspiring. How was the reactions, both there and also in other situations when you perform, also to a non-vegan audience?
I actually really like to perform for non-vegan audiences. It's sometimes a bit challenging to be in a space, especially if there's food involved. If people are like having lunch or dinner, or I always try to use my influence, let's say as an artist or as a speaker, so the organizers know, hey, if you want me to come, food has to be vegan or at least vegetarian, even though, yeah, we know they just
Mm,
try to make them move in a direction like this. With the TED Talk, it was a funny and very interesting exercise for me because usually I have more time when I do a show. My theater pieces, they're like 1 hour, 30 minutes. I do city walks with people where we walk through the cities where people live and we look at the presence of other animals. And I have more time to get people into my world. TED Talk was like 18 minutes, not a second more. And I knew also that people, they listen to many talks and I need to get their attention. But then it's not only about like throwing facts at them. People have heard all these
mm,
things, and like it's there's something on a more emotional level. And the beauty for me with my alter ego Soya is that I can speak as a cow. And obviously people know I'm not a cow. I mean, I dress up, I take a lot of time, I put my horns and my ears and my makeup but it's when they listen, it's almost as if I was a cow. And it opens up this kind of poetic space. Like they know I'm not, but since they never listen to cows anyway, it allows them to kind of enter differently. Maybe it's the human face. There is something that I have, they recognize me through my human face, but since I speak as a cow, somehow there's a kind of magic happening. And it doesn't always work, doesn't work for everybody. But I'm sure, and this I really know, many people, they get to think. Some people come to me, like now I was just in Amsterdam and the technician from the theater, he told me, oh, when you were here last time, 3 years ago, I decided to stop eating meat and my wife too.
Wow.
And I don't know these things, I do my performance, usually I leave, but there is there is a life like this. But for me also, um, I try to really be one little element. We are so many, many people, they're doing activism in different forms. Some people they bake and they make like amazing cakes that are without animal abuse products.
Mm.
Other people they are doing accounting for an amazing organization. Like there's teachers, there is media. We all do what we can, and for me, the important thing is really I try, and that's maybe the philosophical part in me. I try to not just speak of like food change. It's not a conversation about food. It's really I want I want Soya, along with all the other activists out there, to be kind of like an earthquake in
Yeah.
people's worldview. So we need to decenter ourselves as humans, that we are not the center of the universe. Our experiences are not the only ones that are real, the only ones that matter. And
Mm.
if we need that shift in order to have this kind of ethical revolution that I wish for.
Yeah.
It's not enough to just make uh, vegan recipes. It's amazing, but we need also to really understand that we share that planet with all these other wonderful beings.
Mm. Yeah, exactly. Is it something special that you feel especially proud of that you have accomplished for the animals so far?
There is actually many parts in my experience, I have to say now. I have a deep, deep admiration and love for everybody who is doing rescues, people
Mm.
who are working in animal sanctuaries, who are making sure that at least some individuals get out of this totalitarian system and they manage to provide for them a space to just live and be. So I have a very, very deep admiration for everybody who's part of that. Maybe just people who go to volunteer to clean, people who go and feed, people who donate also. So there is um, one performance I managed to actually rescue 10 hens. It was a
Mm.
performance at a farm that still has an egg production. And they made this art event and invited me, and I was very skeptical. Then I realized if I just don't go, nothing is changing. So I demanded that we do a 1 hour conversation after my concert with the farmer, where the audience gets to hear also the dark sides of the egg industries, that they also there kill all the hens after 1 year, that the male chicks are useless in the logic of creating money. So all these things I wanted them to hear. And I also said I want to rescue at least 3 hens. And in the end, actually, I managed to save 10, and one of them was named after me, Soya the chicken. So this was very special because I feel like the art didn't stop at the being art. There
Mm.
were actual real lives saved,
Yeah.
and there's kind of nothing as beautiful as that.
Yeah, exactly. So beautiful. At your TED talk, you mentioned very quickly in a sentence something that stuck with me, and that was how, I mean, we see all these horrific things going on in the world. We know the animal agriculture is horrific, but we also see wars and injustice and many things going on at the moment among different groups, and that it's an intersectional relationship between them. And I think that was very wonderful that you mentioned that, because I really believe that more people need to see that we are all one in a way, and like the
Yeah.
suffering of others are also, we are sort of part of it, and we need to solve these problems together, with compassion and yeah.
I think it's very important that like the vegan movement has not too narrow kind of Augenklappen in German, like that we open
Mm.
up our gaze to what is happening. Like if we want to build broad alliances, and that's what we need also to listen to experience that, let's say, people of color have, that indigenous people have, that queer people have. And the mechanism is kind of always the same. There is one group of people, usually humans, and usually, let's say, white people and men or able people who decide that another group has less value, that
Mm.
their concerns are somehow less relevant to when we make the rules of how we live together. And we then either dehumanize these humans, but we
Mm.
also dehumanize the animals. And I mean, now at the moment with the war in Lebanon or in Gaza, like it's so obvious that mainstream media in, like, say, Western countries does not consider the lives of these human beings as much as if it was like white people. And it's horrendous to just see it. And it's the same when we look at what's like the wars in Congo or Sudan, where the media doesn't even really talk about it. So there is a graduation of who gets how much empathy and compassion, and then we find justifications, we find reasons. Okay, they are more similar to me, or they speak the same language, or
Mm.
and in the end, it's really random criteria. And
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a queer person. I'm also coming from a Jewish family, so I have experienced in many different layers kind of what it means to be marginalized for one marker or another, feeling wrong because of sexual orientation. Family members have been murdered because they're Jewish. Nowadays, we see that unfortunately, the state of Israel is using anti-Semitism as a weapon to silence people rightfully and urgently voicing critique to genocide and to displacement of millions of people. I mean, it's for me, it's embarrassing, to be honest, that this is happening in my name as a Jewish person. And then I'm also struggling, of course, with my helplessness because what can we do in this big kind of scale? So for me, there also Soya is almost like I try to with Soya to create an utopia, something that is, or someone who is almost like surreal in the way that she has hope. Maybe when, as Daniel, I don't have hope. Soya is staying positive. She always tries to find like a to build connection and going over the differences and finding ways to build something meaningful. And in that way, I would almost say Soya has rescued me also myself from depression. Like sometimes it's crushing, like the world is so terrible, but then having this character, like it takes me 2 hours to put the makeup on, but then she's here and I feel really like there is this kind of magic happening that where she's kind of a clown, but she's also a superhero, and she's very motherly, but then she's also very silly. And in that combination, I find for me like the drive to continue to do activism, because many activists, they have burnouts. Like it's hard to see the world going in the wrong direction when we want to have more rights for everybody, including the animals, and then rights are taken away from trans people, from migrants, from women. I mean, it's horrendous. And Soya for me is just like she just keeps going back. It's like a practice. I go back, I put the makeup, I put the heels, and I continue fighting for a world that is more joyful for everybody.
Wow, that's absolutely awesome. Wow. In the beginning, you said that you felt in the artist world that the animal rights part of you was not really welcomed everywhere. Do you feel that Soya the cow has sort of changed that narrative a little bit, that you, with your alter ego, can make people listen?
I have to say, I think I fought very hard to have Soya in the center of the theaters where I perform. Um, Also there, I mean, a lot of like art institutions, they have prejudice. Oh, it's drag, it's just maybe some entertainment. But then when they actually take the time to listen to my performances or to watch them, they realize, oh, it's very deep, it's very well written, it's well constructed. And by now, some theaters, they actually fully changed the food they offer to their audiences. There's these kind of experiences that are wonderful. most of all Tanzhaus Zurich. It's the theater where I'm like the house cow, they call me. Um, Also, like recently, I had the chance to perform for the opening of the Swiss Cultural Center in Paris. So for 4 years, they had reconstruction works. The opening was with the Swiss Minister of Culture, the ambassador, she was there, the Minister of Francophonie was there, and I was performing. And I managed to make sure that the buffet was fully vegan. And these are little successes, like where I feel like I bring my activism, my queerness as well. I mean, Soya is a drag cow. I was there doing like a song about gay swans who steal eggs to become parents. I was there like in front of the minister and but in the end, like I mean, that's what it's about for me. It's like to use humor, intelligence, and
Mhm.
sensitivity to
Mhm.
touch people and. I received quite a big of a prize last year from the Swiss authorities as well, from the like a yeah the kind of the biggest prize that you can get in the theater field. So there is recognition,
Yeah.
but I have to say, I mean, that's not the goal by itself. Like my career is not there just to have a career. My career is really it's about the animals, and
But
that yeah.
yeah, but you're using like your brilliant talent and skills for the animals, and I think that is really beautiful. Um,
Thank you.
it's really that's the best gift we can give to the animals, I think, to really,
And
yeah,
I have to say, I mean, it's a gift to be able to get inspired every day. I mean, I thought in the beginning, after a few years, maybe I will run out of ideas, but it's the opposite. Like the ideas are just coming, and we write new songs. I create with other people new costumes. It's the animal world is so rich, so diverse, and there's so many stories to be told.
yeah.
It's wonderful. Like I love my job, I can say.
Mm. Yeah, you can. Wow, that's wonderful. Um, y- we were talking a little bit about how we actually break the mother-child bond. I mean, repeatedly in animal agriculture, it's really the whole animal agriculture is actually based on destroying that bond from birth, and it's extremely sad. And still, the mother-child bond in the human culture is so sacred. It's so profound, important. How in all cultures, I would say. And what we want to highlight now is it's time for us to recognize the mother-child bond of all species. This is something we work with now a lot, and a documentary is being made, and we have different stakeholders working in this field. What do you think is needed for people in general to sort of embrace that idea that the mother-child bond is sacred, I mean, despite less of what if we who we are, so to speak, for all species.
I think has a lot to do with storytelling. Um, in both ways, I would even say. I mean, I I feel like we have sometimes very rigid ideas, and which leads to violence because it's like only one way to do it. Like when it comes to human families, also a lot of people think that's how it is, and that's how it always has been, and always has to be. And I know actually from there is many ways to build family, and there is many way to be an amazing parent, and you don't have to be necessarily the mother. And also, even there is also, I think, individual cases where maybe for some people being a mother or being a parent doesn't sit right, and there is good ways to deal with it. And at the same time, in the animal world, there is so much diversity. Like I did this show about queer animals, where we tell really stories from gay hyenas to lesbian vampire bats. It's all scientifically based, and there is so many different ways. Giraffes, for example, there is the mothers who raise their kids, and the males they live separately. They have also lots of sex with each other separately.
Mm.
So I mean, where I want to go with this is I think we need to enlarge the stories that we tell. And so I guess there is a lot of animals where this bond is special and sacred. There is also animals where it's not. There is animals where the babies are born outside of like the sex happens outside of the body with some fishes. It's just kind of there's some sperm and some eggs, and then those who survive, survive. But if we do have animals like cows, or like pigs, or chickens, which are the animals mostly farmed. There it's obvious. I mean, chicken mothers, they sing even like songs before the animals are hatched, their babies. I mean, it's so I think my vision would be to not kind of generalize everything, but really look at what is happening in each case. And with cows, I'm sorry, there is no doubt. And we also have lots of stories from farmers who have been working in dairy. They know. They know what they do. They struggle. They try. Some of them, they immediately take the baby away. Like they don't let it even 1 hour. Others, they wait 1 day. But they all try somehow to make it less painful for the animals and even sometimes for themselves. But they don't find because there is no right way. So I think we should listen to their stories. I think they're very, very powerful witnesses. And um, that's maybe also an invitation for us as animal rights activists and as vegans that we don't antagonize the people working with the animals, that we actually invite them to share what they experience and that we invite them to share the difficulties and because they are somehow they have such a big potential for transformation. If we get the farmers on board and they say, wow, I will stop, and then we get them to change their farming system. So instead of having a factory where there is pigs, they might plant mushrooms.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's kind of the way to go, that we
Mm.
work with them, not against them, and we work with their stories and their firsthand experience.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I've also heard so beautiful stories from farmers that have left the dairy industry, for instance, behind and
It's
today.
so many. It's so many. And usually they kind of love their cows. They do violence to them, but they somehow want their best. And rather
Mm.
than pushing what makes us different, I think we first should try to find our common ground
Yeah.
and then get them on board and let's transform this world.
Exactly. And we need to build bridges. We need to sort of be more, again, more constructive there, I think, also as vegans, to build, uh, um, yeah, bridges and understanding among each other so we can speak up. Because, like you say, I think also many, many, many farmers and other people, they have a lot of compassion, but they just view things from a different.
And people learn to numb themselves. I mean, we all do. Like, I mean, when I don't want to look at this footage anymore, for example. But if I'm like in a supermarket, I learned how to walk through the meat department and just pretend it's not there. If I was less numbed, I would have a breakdown. Every
Yeah.
time I walk through, I would have a breakdown and cry. I sometimes do it when I'm soya,
Yeah.
but
Wow.
it's
Mm.
it's it's as a vegan to navigate this world, it's actually really hard. I mean, it's crushing. And that's sometimes what my friends who are not vegan, they don't get. They don't get it how it like every single day having to face the fact that there is so much on a very deep level disregard of life. Once you see it, and it takes a toll. So I mean, that's also one of I love chosen families. For us queer people, we build families also with our friends, with our lovers. We try not to have only this like nuclear family model because oftentimes our families don't accept us. I'm lucky, my family does accept me, but I have friends where it's not the case. So we make our own communities where we are similar in our values. And yes, for me, these are people who also do not want to eat this kind of horrible food, which is not food. Yeah, so building kind of also vegan families where you don't have to have constantly this alert system, I think it's so, so healthy for our nervous systems.
Yeah, definitely. Wow, Soya, Daniel, it has been such a pleasure meeting you. Is it something you would like to add that I haven't asked you that you think about or would like to highlight?
Yeah, I just think like it's a very challenging time. And I think we need to have a bit of space for the grief. There's a lot of reasons to grieve, but I feel like that we can, in spite of like wars and difficulties, we can really try to work collectively towards a shift in that we are like lived solidarity as a principle, where it's not just like empty words, that we really hold out to each other, we support each other, and we include all the animals. And I somehow hope that in these major shifts that we have, that there is that this way of being like really open-hearted and compassionate and leading with love, that it becomes infectious and people choose that path because there is so much darkness around us. So that's kind of my hope. And yeah, maybe I can just say that I want to support the Million Vegan Grandmothers launch of the International Calf and Mother's Day 2026. This is an event that is held in honor of all the bonds, the sacred bonds between mothers and babies of all different species. And you can participate by sharing your art, you can share your recipes, you can host an event. And if you want to know more or submit an event, you can go to calfandcow.org. And let's hope that people all over the world will join and put the awareness and the focus on cows and the babies.
Mm. Thank you so much, Soya. Thank you so much. And thank you for your amazing work.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me and for spreading all these people with what they have to share.
Thank you.